artists, so today we're going to be learning about how to put our Zentangles into our artwork. Right. So I've gone ahead and I've drawn out my landscape here, and I have a vanishing point in my landscape right here. And notice how things that are closer or towards the bottom of the page are bigger, they're more detailed. Like those areas of my road are bigger, and the things that are farther away or at the top of the paper are smaller and less detailed, like my bushes. And when you're drawing these, you're going to want to start with pencil. You're going to want to draw everything out in pencil first. Notice how everything has a shape. So instead of just a line, I have a shape to the parts of my landscape. If I were to have a line here, I would either need to connect it up to something to make it a shape, or I would need to erase it so that I have somewhere to put my Zentangles. All right, once you've gotten this far, you're going to be, you will get a thin Sharpie and a thick Sharpie. You're going to start with the thick Sharpie, and you're going to do what you kind of see I've already done here with this tree. You're going to outline your shapes in the thick Sharpie. I'm going to go ahead and do that to my bush, or some of my bushes here. And I'm going to outline my lines with my thick Sharpie. All the way across. Once I've gotten that done, I'm going to go ahead and erase the pencil marks that are around it. I want to be careful with my Sharpie too, because once the Sharpie goes down, I cannot remove it. So I want to make sure that that's exactly where I want my pencil lines to be. All right, then I would go ahead and erase it. I would take a look at my idea sheet that I did for my Zentangles, and I would start to choose patterns and ideas that I think would fit the space. So for instance, right here in this tree trunk I've started here, I took my thin Sharpie and I made very thin tree trunk type texture lines that I thought would work really well for the space. If I were going to go up here to the treetops, maybe I want these to be a little darker and have a bit more texture, a different texture. Maybe I would do circles, like big or little circles. I would just fill in the space with my thin Sharpie. The thick Sharpie will come into a lot of handy. The thick Sharpie will come into handy if you want to do areas of color. So if I wanted to color in some of these circles here to give it more emphasis and to create darker areas for some of my circles, I could use my thick Sharpie for that. In some of my other landscapes I've done here, my Zentanglescapes that I've done, I have different textures that reflect what I'm doing. So the water has more of a water texture. Areas that are more important, like my boat and my dock, I've put darker Zentangle patterns in so that my eye can really catch it. Notice here too, my dock and my boat both, we have a vanishing point. The vanishing points would be right about here or so if I kept going. My sky in this one is light because it's daytime. So you can also choose to leave an area white if it fits your idea. Like in this one, I did white sand. And then the sun has a lot of different patterns in it. And the water and the waves, this has more of a flowy pattern. The areas on the chair, especially around the outside, have some darker areas so that your eye can really pick out where that chair is. Your ruler will come into handy if you're doing really straight lines or you want a really straight pattern again. And don't be afraid to try new Zentangle ideas. If there's something that you didn't try out from your ideas the last time, you can go ahead and add to it or use your sketchbook and add different ideas to try them out. I would try out an idea before you put it in your artwork. That way, if you don't like it, it's not permanently on there. Happy creating!